So this is going to be a strictly MMI format. No individual, no group interview, strictly MMI. So just like in your real MMI, so question 1 is going to be posted in the screen. Hello, your answer, please.
Okay. So what I'm reading is that the question is asking me pretty much that I'm a part of a bridal party. Um, for my best friend, I'm supposed to meet with them, and unfortunately, my father has a heart attack, and so now I'm unable to go to the wedding so that I can visit my father. Is that correct? So, in this particular scenario, I could see how this would be a very, very difficult situation. On one hand, I know that my friend has spent a lot of money planning this. I know that this is, like her dream wedding, everything that she needed, that she really wanted me to be there. It was expensive for me, possibly, which I'm gathering or thinking that it probably was very expensive for me to pay to really be a part of this. But then on the other hand, this is a family emergency. This is my dad. I only have one dad, even though I know this is only one wedding. How would I pretty much break the news to her? And so I would try and, be very sympathetic to her, talk to her personally, privately to just kind of let her know what's going on. And I would hope, in a sense that she would understand. This is interesting because a similar incident had actually happened to me. As I was kind of reading, I was kind of smiling a little bit, where I was a part of a wedding party, and I was unable to go because an emergency came up at the last minute. And so what I did was I actually spoke to the bride and the groom together. They had a dress for me and everything. I apologized to them and told them that I had an emergency to come up. And they were pretty much understanding. So I would hope my friend would understand that as well, while I go to check on my dad. And I hope everything would turn out pretty well.
Anything else to add, or is that your final answer?
I think that's my final answer.
Okay. Hello, your answer, please.
Okay. So good afternoon or good evening. So what I'm reading or what I'm perceiving the question to ask me is that I have an acquaintance who which I'm gathering, I don't know if this is true or not, but who recently they received my number. They've been texting me about every 1 to 2 weeks. Asking me for medical advice for like small complaints. What would I do? And what I'm thinking is that in this sense that hopefully, I'm a PA, and they're pretty much just coming to me asking me for advice. Um, I guess like some of my questions would be um, like pretty much like what would make them um, come to me in particular. Do they have a provider that they're seeing, a medical provider? Are they already seeing a PA? What kind of issues do they have? Do they have health insurance? Um, why do they constantly keep coming to me? Do they feel comfortable with me? Um, would it be a conflict of interest? These are just some of the things that I'm kind of thinking about. Are there other issues? What kind of issues? Are there urgent issues? Little issues that keep coming about? And why are they constantly having these like small complaints every week? With that in mind, so I can understand. Well, if I think of it in one way, I know that that's an acquaintance. They probably feel comfortable with me. Hopefully we have known each other for a while. So that's one of the reasons why they probably want to come to me. They may not have insurance. Um, and so I can see their dilemma to want to feel comfortable to ask me. But then on the other end, there may be something that they may need to see a medical provider for, or, are they trying to get a second opinion about this? And so with those two aspects, I would kind of think to pretty much maybe talk to the person and let them know, like, okay, you're having a lot of small complaints. I would speak to them gingerly to pretty much say, okay, what's going on? I think that it may be better for you to possibly see a medical provider, or I can recommend you to someone to see at our clinic, and then just pretty much try to go from there, versus me constantly answering their problems. And one reason that made me think of it that way is that, say, for instance, there is an underlying issue that I may not be able to um, solve. And then that could be a liability risk, or they can even try to possibly sue me. I hate to say it that way, but they may try to do that if they go to a second opinion and I don't have the correct or the right answers that they're looking for. And then that could break up a friendship as well, which I really wouldn't want to happen. So that would be my best step. My best step would be to refer them to someone so that they can actually get they can get more more hands-on, or maybe go to a doctor's office so that they could do more tests that I may not be able to provide to them or give to them, for these underlying issues. Also, upper respiratory symptoms can be something a little bit more chronic in some cases, that they may need to maybe need an X-ray or a CAT scan or something like that to kind of find out what's going on.
We're going to give you 2 minutes and put the next one on the screen.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back.
Thank you.
What is your response?
Okay. So what I'm perceiving the question to ask me is to create a movie on a health issue, and what would it be and why? And that is a very good question. So I know with your particular university that they usually have films. There's a lot of like films that's usually done. And so I know a few years ago, your university actually showed the film that was back in the film was based in back in 1993, and it was called "And the Band Played On." And I know that one of the deans was there, and pretty much this movie talked about the discovery of the AIDS epidemic, and political and pretty much politically fighting for the scientific community and like prevention for HIV and AIDS. And so I remember pretty much hearing about that. And so I would like to pretty much so I see on the end where the school and the university pretty much brings a lot of awareness to different health issues. And so, and using movies as a example. And so what I would like to do is pretty much like almost, well, not a movie like that, but kind of something similar to that, where there was a movie, and this is actually kind of loosely based on a situation that I know of called Life Support. And I actually know the characters who were in the movie, and I actually had a chance to be in the movie, but I was actually starting a new job, and so I didn't. I think that's one of the worst decisions, but it's okay. So what I would do in that particular stance is to try and bring awareness to HIV in college campuses. That would be my movie. I would definitely try to make sure that no HIPAA violations are we don't have any HIPAA violations. I would pretty much try to make it like a documentary to bring social awareness to college campuses for the pandemic, on what to do, like how to try to prevent HIV, how to pretty much try and stop the epidemic, educating some of our college students. Because I know pretty much statistically, even though senior citizens usually have a higher amount of catching HIV, but also the younger generation as well, percentage wise. So that would be something that I would really try to look into. Hopefully, if I'm able to be a PA, I would like to use the medical side of things for HIV, like the different strands that they have out there, doing some statistics. And because I used to be a social worker, I would like to use the social aspect of it. So I would like to pretty much try and incorporate different departments, like the social service department, the medical department, PA department, of course, and try to collaborate something together to try and stop this epidemic. I know it's not as big as how it used to be back in like the 80s and 90s, but it is something that we still don't have a cure for. And I know people may be living longer with it, but if we can just try to use preventative measures, and that's like my main goal, especially like even within this field, is to try and do like some preventative measures for different things out there to educate people.
All right. Is that your final response? Anything else to add?
I think that's it.
All righty. Thank you for your response.
Thank you.
You're going to get another question on the screen in a couple seconds, and then you'll have 2 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. What is your response?
This is a very challenging question. What I'm perceiving the question to pretty much ask is that I have a patient. I'm a physician assistant. Yay! uh, I'm working in ICU. I have a 43-year-old patient who is a DNR and is on life support. They're declared brain dead, and pretty much the family pretty much does not want them to be a DNR. They want us to go against the patient's request. That's what I'm perceiving from this particular question. So I can see both ends of the spectrum. On one end, that's their family member. They are pretty much concerned about them. They're coming in. My main thing is that I'm a little concerned by them becoming like verbally abusive to staff, which I can understand that they're probably upset because they're thinking, what's wrong with the patient. But I'm wondering, does the family know that the patient is a DNR? Do they believe that they're a full code? When they see the patient pretty much cold, like what are they thinking at that point? Who is around during that time? Does this particular patient, do they have a power of attorney? Has that been something that was added that we may not have known about? Is security nearby? Usually in ICUs, you usually have security. So one of the first things that I can understand the family being upset. However, being verbally abusive to staff and yelling, that can actually cause a hostile work environment for other patients and other people that are there. So I would be sympathetic with them. However, I'm wondering, has anybody ever talked to the family about what were the patient's wishes? And so because of that, I believe what I would do, well, I kind of know what I would do because this has actually happened before while I was working. And one of the first things that we did, we had to call a code strong. A code strong is something in the hospital where if we feel like there's some type of danger for anyone there, we call security. And so that was one of the first things that we did. I would also try to see if we can have the patients to stop recording due to confidentiality and due to HIPAA. Also, if the patient could not provide me like a power of attorney or some type of medical, some type of legal medical documentation, or we don't have it in the records for that patient, I would definitely tell them that, this is what the patient requested was a DNR. And due to hospital policies, we want to make sure that we follow the patient's request. Also, I would try and see if we can get a social worker in to speak to the family to help them kind of cope and deal with what's going on. And then, and I know this may be hard for the family, but the main thing would do is to grant that patient's request and do not resuscitate them, because that was something that they requested. And I think that just would be the best scenario. Our main thing is, and this is what I learned in the hospital, is patient, family centered care. And so our main thing is making sure that we follow the patient's request, and then try to make sure that if, due to HIPAA, that the family can understand what the patient's needs are first, and then just kind of pretty much just go from there.
All right. Thank you for the response. Anything to add to that?
I don't think so.
All righty. In that case, you're about to see another prompt pop up on the board, and then we'll have 2 minutes, and we'll see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. What is your response?
That is a very good question, and I kind of had to laugh. So the question is pretty much was asking me, what would I bring to a dinner party and why? And there are so many different things to choose from for a dinner party. And one of the main things that I thought about was, and I know this may sound weird, but what kind of dinner party? Is it like an elegant dinner party?
That's a good question. Are you asking me what kind of dinner party, or are you just brainstorming? Okay, it sounded like I wanted to make sure. Let's say this is an office party at work. This is just a lunch, potluck type thing where everybody brings a dish and you're just kind of having lunch with your coworkers.
Okay, well, hopefully this will be my coworkers as a PA. So I would bring something healthy. Usually, sometimes like we have events, and so I actually kind of just changed my mind because I thought about bringing fruit. But since you said it was an office party, I would so I'll pretty much kind of say I would bring something usually that's not cooked from home. Now I can cook, but just because I know some people are pretty funny about eating at other people's houses, I would like to bring something from the outside, and I would probably do something healthy. So recently, I'm actually the co-treasurer at my job. I'm a PCT, and we actually came up for PCT week. We did an event every day for the whole week for all of the PCTs. And so it was volunteer hours, like I couldn't get paid for it. And so one of the nights we had Chinese night. And so what I decided to do through the committee was I purchased chicken wings, but I did fried wings, and then I did Chinese wings. And then I purchased well I know it says item, but I'll just say chicken wings. And so I did fried wings and I did Chinese wings. And the reason why I brought two separate types of wings was because there are some people who don't eat flour. And so I wanted for them to have a healthier option, even though it was fried. So just in case if someone kind of just wanted that, the fried flour kind of taste, I did want to have another healthier option for the guests. And so I did Chinese wings, and everyone was pretty much happy about it. I actually stayed the entire time while the PCT and the nurses, the staff, they just pretty much came in and out. And so I was there to kind of let them know which was which. The reason why I think it's a good thing is because you always want to have more than one option. Even though it is chicken wings, you don't want to just kind of limit yourself to just one specific thing. And then also I like to do things that are unique. So some people may not have known, okay, Chinese wings or regular wings, what was the difference between the two? And it really turned out pretty well because I actually had some of the staff ask me afterwards, T Rose, where did you get those wings from? And they actually went back to the restaurant. So it was a win-win situation. That way, the business, they were able to really receive more business. I was able to put their name out there. And then also, it was something that they enjoyed, and I didn't have to spend that much time cooking.
Is that your final answer? Anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's it.
All righty. Let's pause this. We're going to get you in 2 minutes for your next question. All right.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. So what I gathered from the question is that pretty much the patient has cholesterol that's out of control. You can tell the HDLs are low, LDLs are high. I know that pretty much like the practice will not receive reimbursement if pretty much if treatment is not being taken care of by the actually on our end, and the patient refuses to take a statin. So if you're Miss Jones, what would I say? So pretty much I would, before I even say anything, I would try and look at both ends of the spectrum. I would pretty much, well, I do have a question. Am I supposed to like really come to you and like pretend like you're Miss Jones, or am I just supposed to kind of like tell you what I would kind of say to her?
So the question does say, pretend I am Miss Jones. What do you say?
Okay. Well, hi, Miss Jones. I am T Rose Sanders, your physician assistant for today. And I noticed that when you came in, there was some issues with your labs. Your total cholesterol is 245. Your LDLs is 211, and your HDLs is 35. Pretty much, how long has this problem occurred with you, or have you ever had your labs taken before?
I don't know. They just keep giving me numbers and I don't know what they all mean, but I'm not taking any medicine.
Okay, you're not? Okay. Have you seen a doctor? Have you seen a doctor for cholesterol before?
I've been seeing this practice for the last 14 years, and you guys keep trying to tell me about my cholesterol.
Okay. And what has someone pretty much told you before? Have they tried to give you medication, or do you have any other ailments or anything that you're concerned about?
I know you just want me to take it because you get paid.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. So, to kind of give you a little bit of background, when you're dealing with HDLs, which is pretty much like it's the cholesterol in your body, where it kind of pretty much lets us know how you've been exercising, really. So we kind of look for numbers pretty much like over 50. If you look at the chart here, if I could show it to you, anything under 50 pretty much kind of lets us know, kind of it's like a cheat sheet that kind of lets us know, hey, you haven't really been exercising too much. Your LDLs is pretty much, it kind of gives us a cheat sheet on how you've been eating. Have you been eating like foods that are high in cholesterol? What kind of foods do you usually eat? Miss Jones?
I'm sorry, Miss Jones was on mute.
Oh.
What do I usually eat? I don't know. Ham and cheese, bologna and cheese. It's hard out there. The inflation's got my budget stretched to as far as it can go, and all I can afford now is bologna. And I'm supposed to eat the brown bread, but I eat the white bread because I like it better. I can't stomach that brown bread. It makes me have diarrhea. And usually it's just a bologna and cheese. Bologna and cheese, sometimes a Kit Kat if I've been good.
Okay.
And Pepsi.
Oh, and a Pepsi.
Every
Okay.
day.
One a day. A Pepsi a day.
More than one.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this, a Pepsi a day will not keep the doctor away. I'll say that.
You're not even a doctor.
Well, I am, pretty much in the medical field. So, do you exercise at all?
You mean like walking?
Yes.
I walk
Okay, how often do you walk?
every day.
Every day? How long or how often?
Oh, I don't know. It's hot out there. We're in the South. Uh, maybe in November I'll walk.
Okay, maybe in November. Okay. Um, have you started taking herbal pills at all? I'm just trying to get, some information from you.
Yeah, so my friend Daisy gave me some pills. She said it'll help my heart.
Do you know the name of them? Do you have them with you?
It has a flower on it.
Okay. Um, do you have them with you? No?
No,
Okay. Do you think that you could possibly maybe get in contact with someone, or could you call Daisy, or maybe, like after you leave this visit to try and get us to let us know um, what the name of the herbal pills are?
I can do that.
Okay. Are you seeing someone else other than a medical provider? Like, are you seeing a naturopathic doctor or a chiropractic doctor or anyone other than us
I
or
saw Dr.
herbalist?
Lin. He's a chiropractor. He keeps
Okay.
trying to make me take some Chinese pills, but I don't trust those either.
Okay, I can understand. So what do you trust? I know you said the herbal pills, but what do you trust?
I just want things that are natural.
Okay, you want things that are natural. Okay. So are you willing to possibly um and I know you say with inflation and everything else, are you willing to maybe see it like a nutritionist, maybe that they can probably give you some other options besides like the lunch meat, because lunch meat is high in sodium, Kit Kats that does have a lot of sugar in it, as well as the Pepsi, and those are like certain things that will pretty much bring your cholesterol up. I can understand if you may not want to take medication, but right now, the way your levels are, they are really not, they're not normal. And so we really need to have some type of action or plan for you so that we could try and get these numbers under control.
Like what? I'm not taking statins.
Okay, you don't want to take a statin?
My friend Daisy, she said her calves felt like they were on fire. She thought she was having a stroke.
Um, do you know when she was taking them?
She was taking a Vorvasvat.
Okay. And sometimes, yes, sometimes most patients, they do complain of having issues when they're taking a statin at first. That's why a lot of times we kind of really recommend taking them pretty much like at night. I would really like to see how you will really try it for at least a week or two, just to kind of see, just to kind of get it in your system, um, so that we can really try to get those numbers down. Um, if not, if you could see a nutritionist, because I don't want to go against, what you're thinking, and someone really to help you with exercising.
All right, we are all out of time for that question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll see you in a couple minutes after the next one.
That one kind of had me a little hot.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. What is your response?
Wow. Okay. Um, that's a very good question. As a student. Um, Believe it or not, I can tell you about one that happened last night. So, I had a patient. They were pretty much they were an involuntary hold, and so we have to monitor them every like 15 minutes. It's like a one-on-one. And so I was actually working for a coworker. This is like my 5th day. I work night shifts, like 12-hour shifts. And so I was covering for a coworker of mine. I came in a little bit, later. And so the patient IV pump was going off. And so I really am like, I try to be a person of integrity, and I make sure that I follow the hospital policy. So if it's out of my scope of practice, I try to, find someone within the scope of practice to handle whatever the situation is. And so the tech for that particular floor, my particular section, I seen her coming down when the IV line went off. And so I asked her, I said, hi, I said, can you please call the nurse to come in? I said, the patient's IV line is going off. And so she said, okay. And this was like the first time that it happened. I noticed within like 10 to about 10 minutes, which is probably a little too long, the tech never came back. And so I went to the next step and I used the call light. And so within the call light, a nurse came in, took care of the patient. So then this was like right before like shift change, maybe about 20 minutes before shift change, the IV line went off again. And so I seen that same tech and I asked, I said, hey, I said, could you please let the nurse know, because I was trying to avoid the call light. I said, can you please let the nurse know that the patient's IV line is going off? And I looked at the patient's IV and it looked like it was blown. And so I said, could you please, let her know that she could please come and check the IV. And so, I try to keep the patient as still as possible. And she said, okay. And the person never came. She didn't come back. She didn't tell me anything. And usually if I'm a tech on the floor, if someone asks me a question, whether it's a patient or not, I usually will come back to the room and say, hey, I let the person know, I let the nurse know they'll be in there with you in a moment, and then go back. That didn't happen. 10, 15 minutes passed by, no nurse. And I know sometimes it's busy because it was a med surg floor. And so what happened was, when we got ready to turn over to shift report, the next person came on. And I said, can you please let the nurse know that this patient's IV line is out, is it's going on off. And so she did that. And the nurse came immediately after that. And so we found out that, yes, the patient's IV was blown. The patient was scared of having needles, did not want to get another IV done. And so now this is during shift change. And so now the chargist comes in, to put in the IV. And so I asked the nurse, I said, did anybody tell you earlier that, that I had called for you? And she said, no, this is the first time I heard about it, was when the second tech who came to relieve me told her. So I'm like, okay. So what ended up happening was she said, well, can we get all hands on? Now the patient during shift change is becoming aggressive. The patient doesn't want to get a new IV. But the patient said, they had to go to the bathroom. The patient is intellectually delayed, intellectually disabled. So we allowed the patient, go to the bathroom and then, tried it again. It was 4 of us in that room trying to, trying to get the patient, comfortable in order to get a new IV in. In the meantime, we eventually did. So make a long story short, I actually stayed over. I stayed over my time to make sure that the patient was okay, make sure that the nurses and the other tech didn't need me, and to make sure that, the patient did have that, like IV done and was in support of whatever I needed to do. And I know sometimes like we're kind of going through a shift change, and so they really don't want us to stay over, but I wanted to make sure that at least my side was kind of done, because I didn't want to leave them in that situation because it happened on my shift. So the mistake that I made was that I didn't, pretty much when I noticed that they didn't come at a certain amount of time, I should have just automatically went on a call light. And then if no one answered the call light, I should have just even though we're not allowed to use our phones in the room, I should have used my phone anyway. And pretty much, said, hey, can I please speak to the nurse for such and such here? Because I didn't see anybody in the hallway during that time. What I did do, though, I did speak to the tech. I believe like there's a Bible scripture where it says if you have an order against someone, you go to that person. And if not, you bring a witness with you. I did go to that person. And I told her what happened. I said, because, you didn't, I asked you, I said, what happened? I asked you to call, the nurse to let them know. And now, this patient, something could have happened. The patient could have bled out. Anything could have happened. And so she just looked at me and said, oh, no, that happened. I said, yes. I said, but she couldn't give me an explanation of why she didn't each time, both of the times. And so I ended up, what I learned from it was I went to the nurse, and I didn't want to say it in front of everyone else because I like to be discreet. I don't like gossiping or like drama or to cause like an uncomfortable work environment. So I went to the nurse and I told her exactly what happened, and I told her who the tech was. And that's how I think I kind of, covered my mistake a little bit. And she said she understood. She said, but she wasn't really doing anything too important or as important as giving, taking care of that patient's ID at the time. And so I pretty much what I learned is next time, follow that process instead of just waiting to hear or just kind of assuming that maybe someone's busy. Find out what's going on, because someone else could have came in that room and assessed that patient, and we could have had it done more expeditiously than what really happened.
Thank you for your response. Anything to add? We have about 10 seconds.
No, that's it.
All righty. And that was actually our last question. So
yay.
Deep breath. How'd you feel? How do you think you did?
I was nervous at first. Mm-hmm. And then like after the first one or two questions, I felt okay. And then the last question, I'm like, I kind of didn't see the question because so I was reading it a little bit later. So I'm like, so I couldn't really, I was trying to get my thoughts together.
Mm-hmm. For that last one?
Yes.
Yeah, you seem more flustered on the last one than on any of the other ones.
Yes, because I didn't read the question ahead of time and then I saw you said 1 minute. And I said, where's the question? And then I scrolled. I said,
Oh, you didn't even see it?
No, I didn't see the question. So.
Oh, no. Okay. That's kind of understandable.
So I was kind of like trying to. I felt scrambled on that one.
You started scrambled, but then you recovered. So I just sent a link to the document. It's going to have the list of questions that we just did, plus all of my comments on those. I'm not going to describe them all in detail right now. But so I basically wrote down some comments on everything individually, as well as your overall performance. And it also does have those instructions that I gave you before, how to prepare for the interview, X, Y, and Z, all of that stuff. So you'll have that to reference back to. You'll also have the recording of all of this so you can see your performance, see exactly how you sounded, how you looked, that kind of a thing. You'll have access to that. But just very briefly, because we are going to be posting this as a YouTube video after this application cycle ends, maybe sometime next year, maybe in the next few months, but probably sometime next year, I think. Because of that, I would like to spend a little bit of time just going over these responses in my comments. Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
All right, perfect. I'm also just personally trying to avoid screen time a little bit because I've got another 12-hour tomorrow. And I just spent 2 days working already, and I'm starting to get like this ocular migraine where you can't see. But it is what it is. We're living out of our laptops now, so it happens.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm actually going to share my screen really quickly.
Okay.
Present share screen. Yep, entire screen. Okay, can you see?
Okay, now I can, but it's kind of okay. Wait, let me see. Yes.
We can even zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. So this is the document with all of the various instructions, various links, how to prepare and how to answer MMI questions, because that's what this is going to be, and just a lot of other good information. So when someone does a mock interview with me, I do share kind of a personalized document like this for them. So overall, for Tia Rose's feedback, I said overall fantastic. I would say easily 8 out of 10, if not better. Definitely one of the better ones I've done.
Okay, thank you.
So fantastic. Mostly just on straight up personality alone. So personable, warm, caring, relatable, showed a lot of empathy, a lot of understanding of healthcare, the legal and policy standpoint, which makes sense. You're a social worker. Um, Overall,
Thank you.
excellent. Definitely showed your experience much more so than some of the applicants with less experience would show. A couple of things that definitely could have been better. In some cases, you needed to follow the instructions a little bit more to the letter. So, like if it said act it out, right?
Okay.
Which on one point, so the first one you didn't at all, and the next one you were like, should I be acting this out? And I said, yeah, you should.
Okay.
So that's just one thing. Kind of read the instructions and follow them to the letter. Another thing is the giving alternative plans. So you have very, very good plans, and it's cool that they were based on real events in your vast experience. But an alternative would be a good idea. I've seen like in some of the articles I sent you, they even said like show two extreme options. Like for instance, the example with the family that was getting irate and filming things and TikTok streaming them doing compressions on their family member with a DNR.
Mhm.
You know, an extreme example would have been I would have taken their phone, called security, and physically restrained them. The other extreme would have been I would have left the room and just let them fend for themselves because I felt unsafe. And somewhere in the middle would have been the response that actually happened, right?
Okay, yes.
So alternative plans, it just really helps to
Got
think
it.
out loud. So we know your
Okay.
thought process. Explaining each plans, the merits, the drawbacks, and then why you're choosing what you're choosing.
Okay.
And then another thing is, yeah, it's good to ask the interviewer clarifying questions if you have any. And you definitely did that when you felt like you needed it. Okay.
Okay.
So for MMIs, this is kind of just a refresh of what we talked about. You want to think out loud. You want to kind of rephrase the question very quickly, which is what you did. Then ask questions if you have any for more clarifying, just to kind of narrow down the response. Then you want to give your 2 or 3 possible alternatives and discuss why they have merits and drawbacks, and pick one and tell us why you're picking one. So usually you'll have about 2 minutes. They might be a little different, but 60 to 90 seconds is what you should kind of get your response down in and just be ready. So the last, minute to 30 seconds, you're just chilling, breathing, slowing your heart rate down, and just getting ready.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And then try to get your response down to about 5 minutes. That's like a respectable length, not like you're not taking it seriously, but also not like you're running out of time.
Okay.
Somewhere around it. Be mindful of the clock. Make sure you're looking at the comments or however they're going to tell you your time. You definitely don't want to be going over and still be talking when they have to close out. But they will tell you a time, or they really should. Mine certainly did. So we're going to do that. So for question, the one where now these weren't in order. These were just the order that I made them before. The
Okay.
43-year-old male, the DNR, DNI, that guy. I really love the fact that you kept saying, I'm like in this scenario, I'm a PA, yay. Like that's adorable, fantastic, shows a lot of enthusiasm. It's helpful that you've been doing this and you've seen this actual situation, showed a lot of empathy. I really couldn't ask for a better response, except that a little bit more thinking out loud would have been good.
Okay.
All right. But overall, this response, I did not have much feedback on at all, as you can see.
Okay.
This is kind of just a classic ethical type situation where there isn't really a good right answer unless you really know the laws, which nobody's expecting you to. Actually, you might, because you're a social worker, which would be very important or very impressive. You would really dazzle the interviewers with that. But most people aren't going to know the laws, so they'll just kind of think out loud and think of a good response. There's no right answer.
Okay.
The whole 23-year-old Down syndrome patient who becomes pregnant, parents want her to have an abortion, she doesn't.
Yeah.
That's also a good place to ask a lot more questions, like what is her level of cognitive ability? Is she independent? Is she housebound to them and really needs 24-hour care? Like, I need more details. But this is just a classic question that you'll likely have some version of this.
Okay.
White item, what did you bring to a dinner party? It's just honestly a fun question, but I think you did a great job.
Okay.
I like that. I actually really like your method of talking about things that you've actually done, because you've done so much.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's going to be hypothetical, like, shoot, I've never done that. I don't have a story about this. I need to come up with something on the spot.
Okay.
So this was really good. I like this.
Thank
Showed
you.
a lot of care about your coworkers for the 2 options. Tell me about a mistake you made. This one was a little rough. So you said you couldn't see the question. at first, but the first 40 seconds I was looking at the clock was just kind of stalling and floundering, and then you finally had a good response, which was an excellent response overall. I did notice you spent more time kind of blaming the other tech than you did focusing on what you could have done better or what you did wrong. And that's something I would avoid.
Okay.
So anytime there's anything negative whatsoever, tell me about a time you struggled. Tell me about a time you had a difficult class, a difficult patient, a difficult professor. What you want to do is put 99% of the focus on you.
Okay.
In this case, and you put kind of 80% of the focus on this tech that you were kind of berating, and 20% of the focus on, I should have called her sooner, I should have done better. You kind of want to flip that.
Okay.
Focus more on you. Anytime there's anything negative, that is the right answer. I could have done better. I should have done this. Maybe she was distracted. I should have, taken that into account because now the patient was in trouble and I was the only one that knew it. So I needed to do this. I, right?
Okay.
That's how you answer those. Anytime anything seems negative, just be mega humble and just take it all upon yourself. That's how you do it.
Okay.
I might tell you offline how exactly I know about this. In real life too. It's not just in interviews. Let's see. The bridal party grooms thing, I got that straight out of that interview resource that I gave you. This was a good idea. I just kind of embellished some of the details. This one, you did not follow instructions.
Got it.
It said right in the last sentence, act out how you would deliver this news.
Okay.
You were like, well, I understand. I've been like, you're being very empathetic. Very good answer, except for the fact that we didn't follow instructions.
Got it. Okay.
So somebody, depending on the interviewer, somebody might not ding you at all because it was a great response, empathetic, engaging, well-spoken, fantastic response. But somebody might be a stickler and be like, well, she didn't follow instructions. So it's a 0 out of 10. And that would screw you over. There are people who are like that. Not everyone is like that, but there's going to be that one. And if you get them, you're going to be in trouble.
Okay.
So definitely, especially with longer questions, I say this later in the document, but with longer questions, you always want to read the last 1 or 2 sentences first.
Okay.
Especially like this last one with the cholesterol, that was way too long. It's unfair to make you read something like that in 2 minutes, which they might.
Okay.
And in school, they certainly will. There's going to be insanely long questions, and you have 1 minute per question on a test. Okay. So you might have something unfairly long like this. And the rule of thumb is read the last sentence, maybe the last 2, and then skim the rest for the rest of the time you have. So in this case, it literally says act. So you already know what you're going to be doing. And then the sentence before it kind of gives you usually all the details you need. You're missing the wedding. So I'm thinking I'm acting out like I'm going to miss a wedding. Why am I missing a wedding? Oh, there we go.
Got it. Okay.
That's how you do that. So definitely make sure we follow instructions. Cool?
Yes.
All right. And don't worry, like I gave you all this stuff that I just wrote. So I'm just basically reading it out, one for your benefit, but mostly for the video.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So that's the feedback there. Great response. It just was a response kind of not to the question that was asked. So you want to act like you did with the other one because you did a very good job acting in this next one. This one was top notch. So this was the unfairly long one, and I was being an unfairly difficult, annoying patient, which you will have. I've had them, and I was acting like kind of a stereotypical rural patient who doesn't like medicine, doesn't trust doctors, and is just kind of crabby. Yes. You're going to have them. You certainly will, and they don't trust you, but they're there anyway because they have to be. And Medicare says you got to take care of them, and you got to take care of them in this way. And if they don't do what you say, if you don't like pull some magic psychological thing out of your hat and make them do it, you're dinged. And now the office is struggling because of finances, and it's a huge mess. It shouldn't be that way, but that is the standard of care. And if your patients aren't following the standard of care, your office gets dinged, and then you get in trouble. And this patient was making it hard on you. So 4 long questions. Like I said, the strategy is read the last 2 sentences first. If you didn't have time to read anything here, all you would have to see is you started discussing a statin. The patient adamantly refuses, electing to take herbal pills instead of statin cholesterol medicine. And you said, and pretend you are Mrs. Jones. What do you say? Or pretend I am Ms. Jones. What do you say? So literally just those 2 sentences give you just about everything you need. Got it. Okay. Right? Which you did a great job with. You did an excellent job. What did I say? I said the beginning was a little rough because you weren't sure exactly what to do, but you clarified, and then you recovered, and then you were excellent at role playing.
Okay.
Love the nutritionist idea. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I could tell you're good at this. Like, this is going to shine through, especially with these role playing ones. If you happen to get one, just make sure if they ask for role playing, get right in there.
Good. Okay.
If you're good at it. That's going to be like your magic weapon if you're given the chance. Right?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. You did fantastic with that one. The acquaintance of yours recently obtained your cell phone number. This has happened to me, so I just threw that one in there because it's annoying and it's going to happen to you. You said good question, which is always a good thing to say. It shows a lot of confidence. Saying something like good question or yeah, or oh man, that's interesting, like with a smile on your face is like, okay, this person's not nervous. She's about to give me some gold. This is good. So I like that.
Okay.
I just remember you asked the interviewer if it's something like one or two things you'd like to know to narrow it down. Yeah, if you have questions, narrow things down, ask questions. It's okay. You displayed a lot of empathy about your friend's behavior. Good plan. Good, just good answer overall. Okay. To improve, would have offered some alternatives. Just like the instructions that I gave you before, maybe some extremes. I would ghost my friend and block their number because they're crossing boundaries and this is inappropriate. Or
okay,
it really doesn't take me much effort. I would just answer all their questions, and that's why I'm in medicine anyway. Both actually kind of appropriate responses, but they're two extremes. And then somewhere in the middle is what you actually did.
Okay.
And then the little upper respiratory bit you added at the end was kind of random. I'm not sure where that came from. It was fine. I just didn't really understand it. It just kind of didn't fit the rest of what you were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you just added something because I was silent because I was typing and I just gave you.
Yes.
You didn't have to. You could just smile.
Okay.
Or at least transition like, oh, and that actually gives me a really good example. If I have just another minute, upper respiratory, boom. And lastly, if you could create a movie, it was funny that you actually almost did create a movie. The great thing you did here, which not enough people do, is you started talking about the school itself. So I don't know what you meant by the films, but I'm assuming whoever works at the school does, right?
Yes, they should. Yes, yes. I've looked at their website. I pretty much know. I didn't want to say the school because I know it was being recorded. But
I appreciate that.
I pretty much know. I know a lot about the school, and even because I went to visit there. I would ask questions kind of related to the school and incorporate both together.
Yeah, that's definitely, if you can find an excuse to talk about the school and that you understand it and that you're interested in that school particularly, that is gold.
Okay.
That's gold. That shows that you're really prepared and that you really care. That's very, very good. So definitely excellent job on that. Personal story was good. Good discussion of the content of the movie. Really showed a lot of understanding about HIV. So that was really cool. Not a lot of people understand things that way. I can tell you're passionate about the topic. The one thing that was missing is why.
Why?
I would make a movie about HIV. It would include this. It would be this. I know this much about HIV, but why?
Got it.
I have a friend. I have a brother. I have a sister who has HIV. It's tremendously lots of struggles. I know it's kind of being forgotten about because there's other new diseases like COVID, but HIV is still a real problem, and I really want to bring awareness to it. The end.
Okay.
Right? And then there was one thing that was a little odd. You said senior citizens catch HIV more than younger folks?
Well, lately, that's what I thought. I looked at a statistic that kind of said that, but I could be wrong.
I haven't looked at any statistics. I didn't know that myself.
But
if that's true, cool.
Yeah, the last that I checked, senior citizens have a higher percentage of HIV cases than
new HIV cases.
Yes, more HIV cases.
That's actually really surprising because you think HIV, you think younger, sexually active, and/or IV drug abuser. But that's interesting about senior citizens. I didn't know that. So that was just interesting to me. But yeah, that was just a point of curiosity on my side. But yeah, overall, fan-freaking-tastic. The only main points of contention with this whole thing are follow instructions, do a little bit more sticking to the thinking out loud strategy, really get those alternate plans and explain why. But that's literally it. Just be yourself. You're doing very good.
Thank you. Um, is this off the record now or no? This is
I can
good.
stop recording if you want, unless
Okay.
you had any questions or anything you think that the audience would want to hear.
No, that's it. This was a really good experience for me. I'll say that.
Good
I
to
was so
practice.
nervous, but
It's really, really good to practice because you were nervous, but now you're going to be in the same chair, in the same suit jacket, doing the same thing.
yeah.
And it's going to be like, oh, I've been here before. It's not as big a deal, you know?
Okay. Yes.
And it's going to be almost the exact same format. One actually quick thing. Why did it take you so long to get on? Were you having trouble connecting?
I was just waiting for the email to come in.
Okay.
Yes. And that was something I was gonna talk to you about, like off the record.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Just want to make sure that, like for the actual interview, you're like dead on time. You're like right when the link is sent, because I did send it right at 6. But
Did
I
you?
don't know if
I didn't get it then.
there might have been a connection issue on my side or on yours. But I clicked the button right at 6. So just make absolute certain you're on time. If there's a technical difficulty, then there is.
Okay.
That happens all the time. Just roll through it. But yeah, definitely make sure that we're on time, the connection's good, all that stuff. Do you know what internet speed test is?
Yes.
So yeah, I would like 10 minutes before, 20 minutes before, 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before the interview, I would be testing my internet constantly.
I know what it is, but how do I get to it? I know, like when I had to do like Casper, like they kind of test it for me. But
Oh, here, I'll show you.
okay.
So this is like overkill, but I'm just extremely conservative to where I don't want anything to go wrong. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Internet speed test. You just Google it,
Oh.
run the speed test. And I mean, my internet is insanely fast because I mean, my business is online. But as long as you're even like a few megabytes per second consistently up and down, you're good. So I would just keep testing this. If this is hanging around 0 or it's like point something, I might restart your router and make sure, just give yourself the best chance for not having technical difficulties.
Yes. Okay. And you know what? And
just make sure you're like refreshing, watching like a hawk, like, oh, it's in, let's go.
Okay.
But yeah, you did great.
Thank you. And this is like off the record.
Let's end